Greetings Terrarians, Khaios here. Welcome back to the Buildy Bunch server, where I'm going to be continuing where I left off yesterday with the build that I mentioned at the end of that video. But before I do, I just wanted to apologize for the lack of videos over the past week and to make an announcement. I unexpectedly had to house sit for some relatives, plus there were some other personal things that I had to deal with. Unfortunately, I've decided for my own peace of mind that I need to shut down my Discord server. It is absolutely an amazing community and I don't make this decision lightly, but the more massive the server becomes, the more overwhelmed and stressed I became. I love engaging with you all so much that I felt stressed and really disappointed when I was unable to, even on the weekends or times where I normally want some time to just unwind and relax. Since I use Discord so often, I just couldn't force myself to ignore the server. I gave it a lot of thought, and for my own well-being, I need to close it down. I do regret that this is the decision I have to go with, but it will help keep me energized and stress-free, allowing me to better focus on videos. It'll allow me to take breaks that I need for my job, which is hard to come by given how long I work on videos. So a massive thank you to everybody who joined the Discord server, and I'm sorry that it has to go down. That said, Jimbo, one of my server admins, approached me with a counter idea which I really liked. He established a subreddit for the community where you all can come and post your memes, fan art, and share your builds. I'm able to interact with all of you there on my free time without feeling the full-time pressure that a massive Discord server brings. So it's really a great balance. I'll even be continuing my community events there, such as the Build of the Month competition. I'll leave a link to the subreddit in the description below, so be sure to stop by. With that announcement out of the way, let's talk about today's build. And to do that, we need to start off by heading over to Blue Jay's jungle base. For this next build, I'm going to be needing something specific from the Dryad now that we're in hard mode, and that will be corruption seeds. Now obviously this is a crimson world. I'm also going to buy some of these from my farm. Sorry, easily distracted. This is a crimson world, so obviously normally we wouldn't have corruption. However, when you're in hard mode and you're in a graveyard biome, you can purchase the opposite evil from the Dryad. So I'm going to be getting corruption seeds. In order to do that, I need to make Blue's base a graveyard biome. Now, I owe Blue a bit of trolling here. So what I think I'm gonna do is hide these obelisks, because they're really dark, in the shadows and make this place a graveyard biome. Just so I can buy what I need. Blue will have to dig for all of these obelisks, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. This was something suggested by you guys in the comment section. I think it's hilarious. In addition to that, you could see in my inventory that I also have some mushrooms, and the other suggestion that you guys had given me that I really enjoyed was to just cover his base with mushrooms. I'm not going to build any big custom ones because I think that would be a little griefy. More griefing than just placing some decorations all over the place. I do think that would be a little too much if I were to actually just build the giant mushrooms here and there, because that would actually take up space in his base, which is not what I'm trying to do. Okay, I changed my mind slightly. I've decided I'm not going to cover his base in all of these small mushrooms, because the gravestones, the obelisks that I hit around, are going to be quite a pain in the butt for him to locate. And I think that is punishment enough. I also left one here. Dead birds tell no tales. Plus 2 of the mushrooms, just so he knows that this is his payback. Now, obviously I didn't do all of them on camera, so that he can't easily find them all either. Good luck, Blue. And while I'm here, he might just actually leave this like this, knowing him. But now that this is a graveyard, I'm just going to buy, I think it was 25 of them. I got more than I needed. I'm going to research those corruption seeds, because that is precisely what I need for my next build. Before I get started on the build, unfortunately, I got a slime rain. And I guess fortunately, I don't know. It's really weak for us now, but I got a slime staff. That's rare. I might have to hide that away in my treasury eventually. Let me just get rid of this slime rain. Actually, I think I'm just going to ignore... You didn't see that. That didn't just happen. I wasn't watching my health or watching where I was going. Yeah. I think I'm just going to ignore the slime rain. And what I'm going to do is actually make rows of corrupt grass, because I want more than just corruption grass. And I want things like ebonstone. And in order to get ebonstone, I either need to spread the corruption, which we're not using the infection spread, so these biomes don't actually spread on their own, because we leave the server running 24/7, and we don't want the entire world to just get overtaken by the crimson or the corruption while we're all AFK. The other way to do that, however, is with vile powder, which I can make using vile mushrooms, and I don't get vile mushrooms until I've planted some corrupt grass. So what I'm gonna do while this slime rain goes on, let me just use my blade staff here to deal with these guys, is I'm going to make rows of corrupt grass just temporarily, and let these grow some vile mushrooms. And I'm probably going to build it over my head, just so I don't get hit by any fallen slimes and we don't have another accidental death. You don't talk about it. It totally didn't happen. I might have another anyway. So just for now, I'm just going to make a few rows of corrupt grass and then let some mushrooms grow. I only need a few bags of vile powder because I'm going to be duplicating it for building purposes, and then I'm going to be placing chunks of stone and creating ebonstone from it. And once I have all of the building materials that I want, then I will get onto the actual build. This build exists almost entirely because I want to craft a mana regeneration band, so I need a band of star power. Since we have a Crimson world, the only way to get one of these bands is from corruption fishing crates. So essentially, I'm going to be making this massive building just to have a nice looking corruption fishing pond. But I thought it might be a good idea to actually include a crimson fishing pond in here as well. Since everything around my base seems to be turning into a sci-fi research theme, I thought it might be fun to make a research facility that appears to be studying both the crimson and the corruption. I love making domes for containment areas like this, but since I'm containing both the evil biomes at the same time, I thought it would look even more impressive to have those biomes visually isolated from each other, as if the researchers didn't want any cross-contamination in the two biomes that they were studying. So with that in mind, I took the glass dome idea and I drove a wedge down the middle. I didn't want to lose any space, so instead of just cutting out a segment of the dome, I actually decided to build the two halves with a gap in between. So if you were to scoot them together and connect them, it would be a perfect half circle. Things were going really nicely and I was making really good progress when suddenly I was paid a visit by an old friend. Well, that was rude. Honestly, I didn't expect to die there either. My health dropped a lot faster than I thought. I wasn't really watching it, and splat I went. So, the dome, I guess you can call it a dome, even though I've split it into two, is pretty much complete. Though I do need to add background walls, obviously, decorations and whatnot. But what we're looking at here is I'm thinking I'll have the crimson on the left half, the corruption on the right half. And although I started a false foundation here, and I'm currently working on draining the water out, or at least I was when I was rudely interrupted, I might change this up so that I have fishing ponds underneath. I thought about doing fishing ponds within this area, but obviously this is going to be pretty small. This might not even be big enough to have a crimson and a corruption biome in it. I might have to hide most of that underground and just have these appear aesthetically. but I'll also create fishing ponds underneath this structure. So if you stand on the right side and you fish into it, you'll be getting corruption loot. If you stand on the left side and fish into it, you'll be getting crimson loot. That way we have a little bit more variety, and we have some fishing options here as well. Minus some various decorations that I want to add around the place, the dome is now done on the inside. We have the big fishing pond with more than enough space for us to fish in. You'll just be able to stand on this side and get the crimson, and over here to get the corruption. I don't even know if that's going to matter all too much, but those are the options. Mostly I'm going to be using this side because I want to get a mana regeneration band. So that's why, essentially that's why I'm making this entire structure, is just to get a little band. But the next part that I need to do is build in the crimson side over here, the corruption side over here, and that is definitely not going to be enough of either biome to make the biomes necessary. So I will be hiding Crimstone and Ebonstone underground over here. I don't need to worry about them spreading out and just leaking the crimson and corruption everywhere, because as I said, we play without the infection spread on, so that we don't have to worry about that happening while we're not online. So I'm just going to get started on making these look nice and eerie. This miniature crimson biome will feature a small cave and a couple of trees, with all of the materials being stuff that you would normally see in the crimson biome. Since this area is so small, I'm going to follow a specific order when building these biomes. I want them to have trees, but they have very specific requirements to grow. I wouldn't be able to build a cave over the acorns and then have the trees grow inside, so it's best to plant the trees first and then build the cave around the fully grown trees. You have got to be kidding me. Every time you try to build, somebody's like, no, you can't build. I've had 3 king slimes spawn while I've been doing this. I've had goblin invasion spawn while I'm doing this. And now I have pirates. Luckily, I will be able to handle these pirates all from within the safety of this little abode, because I have these columns here that can't break down the doors, and thankfully they're kind of dumb and they just end up falling in this pit, which is nice. Maybe I'll build them a little ramp to help them out. We'll just go like, just temporarily, I'll just build them a little way to get up here too. That way we could just funnel them into the middle and just deal with this invasion real quick. And maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get another black spot. But I'm probably not going to be recording this fight because you've already seen us fight the pirates. And I'm just going to cut back to the building once I'm able to. With those pesky pirates out of the way, I can focus once again on the build. For those of you wondering, I actually did end up with another black spot, but you're going to have to wait to check out tomorrow's video to get some more information on exactly what I'm going to be doing with this new flying mount. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, as far as finishing up the crimson goes, now that the trees are fully grown, I built the cave around them using crimstone. I wanted to have some more crimson grass on the top of the cave to vary the texture a little bit more, since I thought that pure crimstone was a little bit overwhelming. Now, when I build any sort of overhanging cliff or cave like this, they don't usually look as if they can hold their own weight without the addition of some support. For me, this is usually in the form of rocky background walls. Obviously, the support isn't necessary since these blocks aren't affected by gravity like they are in real life, but I do think that adding it adds a sense of depth to the build. So in this case, I'm using a blend of Crimstone Wall with Crimson Crust Wall and Crimson Teeth Wall. These give the cave a more blotchy and gory look, which is a perfect fit for Crimson. I would have liked to add dripping blood as well, but the way you do this is by combining a magic water dropper with some blood fountains, and that obviously would change the fishing ponds below into a bloody appearance as well. While that works really well for the Crimson, it doesn't work as well for the Corruption, and this is a 2-part build, so I don't want to do that. I finished up the crimson by adding some deep red painted living leaf walls to act as bushes because I think that Terraria always looks better with bushes. And then I added some red painted strange plants to give the biome a little bit more life and movement with them swaying in the wind. And with that, it was time for me to move on to the corruption half. I wanted the corruption to complement the crimson, to be similar in design, but to also look distinctly different. So as with the left half, the right half is also going to have a small cave with a couple of trees. This means starting off by growing those trees first. All I can say in that regard is thank goodness we have a way to speed up time with journey mode and help with vegetation growth. Once the trees were fully sized, it was time to add the cavern to encapsulate them. This is where the corruption takes more of a stylistic change from the crimson to make them stand out even more from each other. Unlike the smooth crimstone cavern that I built on the left, the ebonstone one is sharp and jagged in appearance. I wanted a distinct contrast from the crimson while still keeping the theme of having a small cave. The supports for this side blend in corrupt mass, corrupt pustule, and ebonstone walls. Once again, I finish up by adding some living leaf walls and strange plants, this time painted purple. Okay, so this took a fair bit of time, but ultimately I'm extremely happy with the way that everything's come together. I'm still missing some details that I'm going to be placing around here, which I'll talk about in just a second, but most of my time was spent trying to get all of the crimson and the corruption underground so that when you're standing over this pool, it's crimson. When you're standing over this pool, it's corruption. There's a lot of back and forth. I have a lot of blocks very far off to the side over here so that they off screen and they don't register once you get over here. And that way we can have a crimson here. Obviously most of this is going to be corruption and that's fine. All I care about is being able to fish crimson crates here and corruption crates here. And that's what I've got. And the only thing that I haven't checked that I'm slightly worried about is this might be a little bit close to my surface side research area, and I'm hoping it doesn't invalidate either of these houses. I think it's just far enough away, so if I move these guys out, I didn't want to talk to you, I just wanted to evict you. There we go. And if I move them back in, I should be able to do it. And clothier, fantastic. So that's far enough away that it doesn't invalidate those houses, but it's close enough that I can now have crimson and corruption over here. So up next, I'm going to be adding some small details. Like I want to add some piping in this gap over here to make it look nice. I'm going to add some piping throughout this building. And now that I have midnight confetti, I'm going to be adding some view screens, monitors, using actuated midnight confetti with some color paint, and then probably some gem spark behind it so it glows if we were to ever turn the lights off. And I might even go ahead and do the same in various parts of the base underground, but I might also do that before the next episode on, I think it'll come out on Wednesday. So I'm just going to go ahead and slap the final details of this together. And here we have it, the entire fishing dome slash dual corruption crimson biome is complete, and I'm quite happy with it. Now, just to let you guys know, some of you might be wondering why I decided not to put any glass in the background, and that's because I wanted to use these background walls here as part of the decoration. Now, if I were to place glass in here, obviously these would give everything very rough, straight 90-degree angle edges, and I don't think that would look nearly as appealing. I could try and do something where they overlap like this, and I have segments where they don't exactly touch, but it would look like this, where the growth is behind the glass, not in front of it. And that would not be appealing either, and it would be a ton of work, and there would inevitably be spots where I couldn't make it work. So I decided it would be best to not have any glass in the background walls at all. We could just say it's implied, just pretend that it's there. But other than that, I've added a bunch of piping. I added a couple of little antennas up here with palladium columns and slime blocks that have been hammered. We've got the view screens with the midnight confetti. We've got everything in here that I wanted in here. I might eventually add some storage in here. I'm not sure. But the fishing area is now complete. That's going to wrap up this video. I will be doing a playthrough of the server with everybody else on Wednesday. We'll actually be recording on Monday. But thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'll catch you all later. Happy building.